Hey everybody, what's up? Pastor Matt here. Thanks for checking into the YouTube channel. Bit of a ministry update today. Now, let's be clear right off the bat here. The last time I did a ministry update video and I just kind of put that little thumbnail out there, a little picture of myself, whatever. People thought I was dead or dying or something. People saw that update photo and they thought the worst. This is not a ministry update like I'm dead. Obviously, I'm making this video here, so I'm quite alive, I promise you. I am not dying of cancer. We're not having another baby. We're not moving. We're not taking another job. Those are kind of the speculations every time I do something like this. No, today, something far more mundane, but nevertheless very exciting to me, at least. That is that we are now announcing the launch of this new book that I just wrote called Souls, How Jesus Saves Sinners. And I want to tell you a little bit about that today because I'm super excited about this particular book. So thanks for checking into the YouTube channel. My name is Matt. I'm the pastor of Gospel Fellowship PCA. I want to thank you all for watching this channel. It's grown and grown over the years. Thanks so much to your support. I try not to celebrate big numbers and things like that on the subscribers and all that kind of stuff. I find it to be self-indulgent, but I am approaching kind of a neat little benchmark number there, but I digress. I want to talk today about this book. This is the book that I've been wanting to write for a long time. Again, the title says it all, Souls, How Jesus Saves Sinners. This is a book about the gospel. And here's why I had to write a book about the gospel, because I'm a preacher. And the main thing I do is I try to extol and to hold out and to proclaim the saving gospel of Jesus Christ so that souls would get saved. That's why I do this channel. Now, this channel started off as a bit of a Bible review channel, and I very quickly grew dissatisfied with that because I don't want to be a huckster of somebody else's product necessarily. Though I love the scriptures and I love talking about Bible design and things like that. That's not what I want to do so much with this channel anymore. And not only that, but I'm kind of known as a Jonathan Edwards scholar, and I love Edwards. Trust me, man, nothing gets me as excited as talking about Jonathan Edwards. It's such a cool time in history with the Great Awakening. But I'm not just an Edwards scholar either. I'm a preacher of the gospel. And so I've known for some time now that I have to write a book just about the gospel of Christ. And I wanted to write something that would literally, God could use it to perhaps even save souls, as the title suggests. So in this video, what I'd like to do is just kind of let you know about this project. Obviously, if you follow me on social media, and the Twitters and the Instagrams and the Facebooks and LinkedIn and Telegram and everywhere else I am, I have been sort of leaking and dropping this announcement, but I wanted to tell you about it a little bit more in full right here. So let me give you kind of the outline of the book. So this is what I'm trying to do with this book. It's a book about the gospel. So we're talking about the soul. We're talking about the fact that you, not only are you sitting there right now looking at your phone or your tablet or whatever in a physical body, but there's a soul within you, and that soul is going to live on somewhere, either in heaven or in hell, if the Bible's right, and I believe it is. And so what I'm trying to do in this particular work is to alert people to the urgency of recognizing the fact that they are embodied souls. Our body too is going to be raised from the dead in the resurrection to be judged, and for believers to go on to everlasting life. It's a glorious truth, and we're going to get to that too. It's not just about the immaterial aspect of our human nature, which is the soul or the spirit. We do talk about the body and the resurrection as well. But let me just tell a quick story real quick. It's about a book by Plato. Phado is the name of the book. It's about the death of Socrates. And Socrates, the great philosopher, is about to die. And he's, of course, accused of atheism, and he's going to have to drink the hemlock. Some of you know about the death of Socrates. But before he dies, he has an opportunity to talk to his best and closest friends about what happens after death. And the philosophers, Socrates and Phado was there, and Cebes and Simmias, they're discussing what happens to a human person after they die. And there's quite a bit of confession there that they don't know, that there's some concern that the soul will dissipate in the wind. Or one of the friends suggests that it might be like a harp, which is strummed, and that vibration carries out beautifully for a moment, but then it dissipates too. And Socrates believes that he is going to be saved because he's a philosopher. and then he dies. And a lot of people have thought when they've read Phado that it's not entirely comforting to the soul. And that's because the gospel of Christ has something far, far better. So in this book, what I want to do is I want to clarify what the gospel is. This is a book about the gospel. It's a book about how Jesus saves sinners. So we begin with creation. We go on then to the fall. We talk about our sinful nature. We get into the doctrines of total depravity. I do use a lot of language related to Reformed theology in this book, but I'm also very, very careful that this isn't just a book about Calvinism necessarily, or even Jonathan Edwards, although I quote him once or twice in the book. It's really about the saving work of Jesus Christ. So I'm not trying to overtly convince people to come into my camp of Reformed Presbyterianism and our Calvinistic soteriology, although it is implied certainly throughout the book. But I really want people to take a hard look at the fact that they are mortals, that they are going to one day die, that the question of Socrates is going to come back to them about what happens to them after they die, and that there is a Savior who can literally save the soul forever in Jesus Christ and the gospel. And so we take quite a bit of a look at the life, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ as the saving hope. And I define the gospel as the proclamation of that truth, that Jesus came in the incarnation, that he died for us on the cross, not before having lived a perfect life as the perfect redeeming sacrifice for us, and then is resurrected for our own justification. And so then we're going to talk a little bit about some of these key terms. We're going to look at propitiation. We're going to look at atonement. We're going to look at justification. I'm also going to disabuse a number of false gospels in this book as well, including wokeism. So it's a little bit contemporary there as we dismiss legalism on one hand and antinomianism on the other. And then the book ends with a strong missionary thrust. There's an evangelistic outlook to this book. I am hoping that this would be the kind of book that will give you the comfort that's found in Psalm 57:1. Be merciful to me, O God, be merciful to me, for in you my soul takes refuge. That is the key hallmark verse of this particular book that I've written. I hope that you take refuge in Jesus. Now you may ask, okay, so who's this for? I already know the gospel. Okay, well, another quick story for you. So one of the reasons I had to write a book on the gospel is that I had for several years been asked to do a training course for missionaries, young missionaries that are going to go onto the mission field. And I was to teach a class called Sin and the Cross. Two topics: sin, number one, and the cross, number two. And apparently they consulted me because I'm an expert in sin. I guess I know my own heart. Pretty dark stuff before the light of Christ, right? But what I was astonished is how many missionaries, these young missionaries in their 20s, were ready to go out to the mission field, and they didn't know the gospel. They didn't know the gospel. In fact, some of them were offended when I started talking about sin. Some of them were deeply disturbed when I started talking about the fact that Christ is the only hope of salvation. Some of them complained. Some of them wanted to leave the program. It was really weird. And so what I realized is, look, churches just aren't teaching the gospel. They're not. They're doing all these wonderful concerts and fog machines and laser lights and pep talks and self-help. And what they're not teaching is the gospel. And so I had to get this out. I had to do a book on the gospel. And so that I'm hoping that people who are new members for churches, college students who need to get strong on their theology before they go out into the secular world, people that are newly reformed, perhaps, although again, I'm not necessarily trying to argue people into reformed theology. It's certainly implied throughout. I am what I am, and I believe what I believe. So I'm going to express things in a way that comports with the Westminster Confession of Faith, for instance. But I want this to be something that can be given out even as a tract. In one sense, that's what this is. It's a 188-page gospel tract to lead people to Jesus. This could be useful in elders trainings, things like this, but also I just want people to hand this book, to read it first, and then hand it to an unbeliever and hopefully lead people to the Lord. Now, just for fun, that's kind of my spiel about the importance of this book. I want to show you a couple of the covers that we drew up for this book and how we got to the cover that we have, which is very simple. Notice the very simple blue, beautiful, crisp. I think it's beautiful, just a clean design layout. So what I asked for first is something that was blue and orange. I thought those colors were going to be cool, and this was the first prototype. it looked neat on my phone. And then I got the actual one and I was like, man, this looks like some kind of a weird Aztec design. You notice right there that the font remained the same throughout, as well as the subtitle changing. It was called A Concise Exposition of the Gospel, which is what I wanted the book to be. But then I realized, like, I don't know, man. I think how Jesus saves sinners is just so much more clear to the person who gets this book in their hand. So I said, kind of tear that down, rebuild it. We came back with something more beautiful. I wanted something more beautiful. So this was the next design right here. It was flowery enough, but it looked like, I don't know, just kind of like mall art or something, like I don't know, something that would decorate an elevator. I don't know. So then I said, I want something a little more grabby, and this was the next design. This looks like a huge eyeball, which scared me to death. And so then I started thinking, okay, all right, I'm totally lost. I don't know how to design a book cover. I'm not good at this. I'm terrible. So I went to Ligonier Ministries, and if you know Ligonier, they are always cutting design on graphic design and everything. Go to any one of their conferences, they do it up right in terms of all of their bulletins and all of their PowerPoints and everything. So I looked at the simple book by R.C. Sproul, What Can I Do with My Guilt, which ironically is kind of in the same genre of just clear, precise, short gospel presentation material. And I was drawn to the blue, crisp, clean, super clean look. And what that led me to conclude, this is another prototype right here, is that I had a problem with the title, because the title of the book is called Souls, but you can't depict a soul, right? What does a soul look like? I didn't want to do anything that had images of Christ on the cover because of my view of the second commandment. There is no clip art, let's say, for what a soul is, because it's the immaterial, invisible aspect of you. Though you have a body, yet you also have a soul or a spirit, and there's not a necessarily a clean, obvious symbol for the soul. So then we try to do something somewhat like this, and I just thought, man, it's just too busy. I don't know. Finally, then we came back to this particular design right here, which I love it. Maybe you hate it. I love it. I think it's awesome. I love the color. I love the crispness. I like the cleanness to it. When you hold the book in your hand, it just looks vibrant and hopeful. And it is a message of hope. It's a message of the saving work of Jesus Christ. Hey, this is going to be really cool. It's the first time I've done this with a book. Never tried this before, but this book is going to be available on Audible. I know a lot of you are not readers necessarily, or so you tell me. So I have contracted with David K. Martin, who is an Audible Christian book reader, and this is going to be fantastic. It's not quite there yet, but it's going to be very shortly. As soon as he gets up the audio files, we're going to have this available on Audible, so you can just go listen to it on your phone. You can listen to it when you're running. You can recommend it to your friends. You can listen to it while you're cooking in the kitchen, whatever you want to do. This is going to be the first time I've had a book available on Audible, so I'm super, super thrilled with that. So here it is, Souls, How Jesus Saves Sinners. It is available on pre-order at Amazon.com right now. You can already pre-order it. They won't send it to you until November 1st, but then you can get it on pre-order. One more thing. Let me see if I can do this. Hold on real quick. I'm not sure if this is going to work. I'm going to go over to the website. This is through ICTHUS Publications. Let's go over to their website. Hopefully you can still see this, right? Can you see this? This is the ICTHUS page. You're not going to be able to get the entire page here. I wonder if I move that frame over, what that does. Hope I didn't just ruin the video. So ICTHUS Publications. And if you go to the home page, here is a bit about it. And if you click on that, then it takes you over here. Let me move this box over again. This is going to describe the book. It gives you the back page information. Now here, let's look at this. We can actually click and read a PDF sample. Move this over again. And you can get for free chapter 1 on PDF. So if you're not sure what this is all about, here's the table of contents right here. Every chapter has to do with souls. Souls in jeopardy, the maker of souls, the soul longs for God, gaining the world but losing your soul, soul searching, the philosopher's quest. That's the story about Socrates I told you. And on we go to the cross, to the resurrection, grace, a bunch about false gospels, because there's a lot of false gospels out there. And then the conclusion drives you to want to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with anyone that would listen to you. All right, so that's, whoops, what do we do? All right, that's what I got for you. I hope it's helpful. We're out of control at this point on the screen share. I'll just go back to this, I guess. Anyway, thanks for checking in. I'm going to end it here. Do love you lots, and we will talk to you later.